So welcome everyone to our final panel in the series of afternoon events for this year. We hope that we will be able to hold many more in the future. Today's topic is about the regional transformations in the Middle East and the way they affect the Israeli-Palestinian issues, the solution of the conflict, and the general dynamics in the region. We have 3 speakers here. We will begin with Mr. Walid Salem, but I will introduce everyone because he will have to apologize and leave within an hour. Mr. Walid Salem is very well known to the various Israeli-Palestinian initiatives, and he is today the director of the Society of Democracy and Community Development. He has been actively promoting the Arab Peace Initiative. I can't tell for how many years, but he probably can account for that. And he's also a professor of conflict resolution at Al-Quds University. I will introduce also everybody else. We have Ashraf Al-Ajrami, who was ex-Minister of Prisoners Affairs, and today he's also involved in the Geneva Initiative, as well as he's known for his many public addresses to the Israeli public. And finally, we have Dr.Benedetta Berti, who holds a PhD in International Relations and Security Studies from Tufts University. She is a research fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies and a faculty member at Tel Aviv University. She works on policy and security issues, and she focuses on a lot of topics, including political violence in the Middle East, democratization, the rule of law, and integration of armed groups into political systems. So with that, Dan, do you want to?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Dan Goldenblatt. I'm Riman's co-director at IPCRI. And just to set the stage with a few questions. You know, so much is happening and has been happening in this region. The events are chasing one another, and the common question that we hear in Israeli circles and speaking to Israeli officials, in hearing what senior officials say is, you know, so many things are happening around us. Maybe we should just sit and wait it out and then make decisions. Other officials say, and other people have the opinion that no, actually, right now, when everything is up in turmoil, when the dust is still far from settled, is the time when we have to make the big steps in order to be part of what's going on and also to shape what's going on, and not to be bystanders and just see what's going on and then make decisions when we know that the clock is ticking. And to quote Hanan Ashrawi, who said, if you don't move forward, you don't stay in your place, you move backwards in this region. So there are so many elements that have to be taken into account. You know, just to mention a very few, since the Arab Spring that started in Tunisia and then in Cairo, we had the second Gazan war, which saw very interesting developments, perhaps strategic developments, where the Hamas turned its back on Iran, aligned with the Sunni axis, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar. Muslim Brotherhood was at the time the new kid on the block, and just a year and a bit later is no longer here. Syria breaking down into pieces, Hezbollah being drawn into the conflict in Syria, tensions rising, ethnic and group tensions rising in Lebanon, an influx of refugees, around 1 million in Jordan, another million in Turkey, the change in regime that is going to be a formula that is going to come into effect at the beginning of August, with Rouhani replacing Ahmadinejad. So many things are happening at once, and Israel, me speaking as an Israeli, I don't think that, or my opinion is that we've never been really experts at trying to plan long term. We've been experts at putting out fires as they go along. That is, in my book, contrary to sustainable policy and strategic thinking. So really, the experts here that we have invited, we hope will shed some light on how they see the events around us shaping opinions, needs, positions, and possible actions that Israelis and Palestinians, especially now, and I forgot to mention perhaps the most recent and intriguing development, which we don't know where it's going to lead and if it's going to lead anywhere, which is the resumption of the negotiation talks between Israel and Palestine that was announced last Friday by Secretary of State Kerry. So with that, I will pass the microphone to Walid Salem, who is, as you heard, on a tight schedule.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry because I have to pick a flight at sometime soon, so I have to leave by 6 to go to the airport. So this is the reason. In any way, as opening remarks for the discussion about the impact of the changes in the region on the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, let me start by a note about what's going on in the region in general, which has to do with with what I call the process towards democratic transformation in the region. Finally, opposite to all the ideas of scholars in the world who are saying that the Arabic country, the Arab region is an exception when it comes to the transformation to democracy. Finally, this idea is already proved to be wrong. And now we can find out that the Arab region can be part of the process of democratization in the world. Of course, when someone reads Samuel Huntington and about the clashes of civilizations and others, he will see ideas that Islam is not conducive to democratic transformation. Therefore, and since Islam started with the Arabs, therefore the Arabs cannot, produce any kind of democratic transformation. Of course, when one sees what's going on in the Arab countries these days, one might come and say it proves what Samuel Huntington is saying, because we are seeing that already 100,000 killed in Syria. We are seeing that in Egypt, the army arrested and elected president and put him under solitary confinement under the army. So what's going on is as it is a proof of the theory. But on the other hand, when one look to the processes of the democratic transformations in the world, I'll just mention now because I do not have time, and the issue is not about this today. I will mention one example, which is France, the French Revolution. The French revolutions. In the French Revolution, started in 1789. But the first time that in France they gave women equal rights to run in elections as candidates was in 1944. So it took France 155 years from the beginning of the revolution till women given equal right for men to run as candidates in the elections. And let us remind ourselves also that the worst things happened were after the revolution, where we can imagine Danton and Robespierre after 1789 executing each other, and the killing between their supporters in the streets happened. And we can also remember Napoleon Bonaparte later on appointing himself as an emperor and brought dictatorship later on, till we have Louis Philippe 1848 bringing the starting of democracy right on, then the process developed. So what I'm saying here, and then I will move to the issue to the political issue. What I'm saying here that the issue of transformation to democracy is a process. It's not a straightforward one. It is zigzagging. And the first thing happened after the change, that the worst things happened. Why is that? Because the people who were living under a ruling of dictatorship will need to train themselves on how to be free. And the starting point to act as a free is that you start to work in chaos. You start it as in a chaotic way. And you can find also a regression to despotism once again after the revolutions. And this has happened in France, and now it's going on in Egypt and in Tunisia. So what's going on is not fearful, but at the same time that's not fearful. It is a historical process. Using the French example, it is a historical process, but one can say with confidence that the period of the citizens in the Arab countries started. Taking in consideration the following important point. The history of the Arab countries was a history of considering the people as subjects to the regimes or compatriots fragmented with all patrimonial and neo-patrimonial cleavages. Patrimonial cleavages refer to things that has familial cleavages, clannish cleavages, tribal cleavages, different geographical affinities cleavages, and the neo-patrimonial cleavages has to do with sectarian and cliental cleavages. This was the history of the region, the history of cleavages along the lines of patrimonial and neo-patrimonial cleavages, now which leads to fragmentation and the absence of any process towards citizenship. What's going now in the streets in the Arab countries, that the citizens went to the streets, and no regime can anymore, any regime can oppress them anymore, and no regime can bluff them anymore. They will not accept dictatorship by any means. You saw what happened in Egypt. It's very clear. After 1 year, President Morsi tried to create a new method of despotism against the Egyptians. But what happened? We witnessed something that did not happen in all the history of the world. 30 million Egyptians went in the street on 30th of June this year to say no to Morsi. This is what happened. So as they said no to Mubarak, they said no again to Morsi. Now imagine if the military in Egypt, for instance, would get to a new kind of dictatorship, then you will see that people come again to the streets to say no to this dictatorship. So what's happened, and one can talk about it with full confidence, the people is already there. This fear of despotism is not anymore there. The people decided to take their fate in their hands. The citizens are the street, and they will continue on the street till they get their freedom and democracy. So this is the process that started in the Arab countries. Now, what impact of that on the peace process? I will mention a public opinion poll made by Brookings Institute in 2010, 1 year before the starting of the changes in the Arab world. At that public opinion poll, and you can find the results here. I brought you copies from that. You can take it from there. A booklet about the Arab Peace Initiative. The public opinion poll was made in 5 Arab countries, and it was found that 56% of the Arabs are supportive of peace solution between the Arabs and Israel based on the Arab Peace Initiative, which means this was 2010. Later on, what we can see now, without delving to details, one can say now about the mood in the Arab streets among the people. I'm not speaking about the regimes. Among the people, one can find out today 2 trends among the Arabs in Egypt and in all Arab countries. One trend is the one that do not want war with Israel. The people are not anymore for war with Israel. Go and meet with the people who are supportive to the National Council in Syria, الائتلاف الوطني السوري, the Syrian National Coalition, and we are meeting with them. I know what they say. And also meet with the people in the streets in Egypt. You will see this very clear. Nobody wants war with Israel. What their interest now is changing the regimes in their countries in order to get to freedom and democracy. This is what they want. In second hand, this is the first trend. The second trend is the trend that they do not want normalization with Israel. This looks to be contradictory. On one hand, they do not want peace with Israel. They do not want war with Israel. But in second hand, they do not want normalization with Israel. And this is, but at the same time, it looks contradictory, but at the same time, it's not contradictory, because it has a meaning. As much as Israel continue to occupy Palestinian and Arab territories, this would be the position. If Israel will change its policies, this will change. So in order not to give, a kind of wrong picture of what's going on in the Arab world by saying that the people are for peace, no, I am saying that they are for peace, but with the condition that Israel changes its policies. This is the mood in the Arab countries, but nobody wants war anymore. The strategy of Hezbollah and Hamas is already defeated. This is, I can say with confidence. The Arab countries, the Arab people are not for the strategy of liberating Palestine by weapons or by military means. This strategy is already defeated. It is not there. But still there is another strategy that the people are not ready for normalization. I'll give an example just from Tunisia. The discussion that they have about Tunisia, about the constitution. They wanted to have an article in the constitution which prohibit any kind of normalization with Israel. But at the same time that they have that, the people do not want to go for war with Israel, and we can understand this contradiction that I'm talking about. This is about the people. About the regimes, we know that the Arab regimes already adopted the Arab Peace Initiative in 2002 in the summit in Beirut. And we can see that this Arab Peace Initiative continued to be confirmed year after year by the Arab countries. The changes happened in the regimes in the Arab countries did not make a change on the positions of the regimes about supporting the Arab Peace Initiative. Vice versa, it created more support to it. I'll just mention two examples. The new leadership of Tunisia, for instance, said yes to the Arab Peace Initiative. The new leadership of Mohammed Morsi in Egypt said yes to it. Even he mentioned it in his speech on the United Nations General Assembly last year, Mohammed Morsi himself. So it became part of his policy. Thirdly, the example of Libya. The new Libyan leadership supported the Arab Initiative in the meeting of the Arab League in Baghdad last year, and in Doha this year, opposite to the position of Muammar Gaddafi, who said in Sirte conference, Sirte is a Libyan city, in Sirte conference in March 2010, the Arab summit was held in Sirte in Libya, and at that meeting, Gaddafi said, I have reservations against the Arab Peace Initiative, while the new leadership was supportive to the Arab Peace Initiative. So when it comes to the Arab countries, we can find out that the Arab countries as a bloc, there is a consensus around the Arab Peace Initiative and the need for comprehensive peace with Israel, and nothing changed in that. But in addition to that, there are also positive moves forward happened. One of them is the change of the role of the Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee. In order to create the Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee, which is a committee chaired by Qatar, and it includes 12 Arab countries. In Israel, the people do not hear a lot about this committee that includes 12 Arab countries, which is the Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee. But this committee is there, and while mentioning this committee, one should mention that the Arab Peace Initiative created two mechanisms for the implementation, for the follow-up of the Arab Peace Initiative. The first mechanism is asking Egypt and Jordan, being the two countries who has relations with Israel, to communicate with the Israeli government and the Israeli politicians about the Arab Peace Initiative on a regular basis. And Egypt and Jordan is already doing that all the time. So this is one mechanism. The second mechanism of the Arab Peace Initiative is the Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee, chaired by Qatar, which was asked to communicate the Arab Peace Initiative with the international community. Now, the new development happened with this Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee last year is that this Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee decided to start talking with the international community about the Israeli-Palestinian issue on the names of the Arabs. In this regard, we saw what happened in the meeting that they had on 29th of April in Washington with Mr. Kerry. The Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee went to Washington, met with Mr. Kerry, and they, on the name of the Arabs, accepted borders modifications between Israel and the Palestinians. So now this is the added value of it. It is It's not anymore that the Palestinians are saying to Israel, we accept two-state solutions with borders modifications. This is the new thing that the Arabs started to tell Israel through this meeting in Washington, that we all, the Arabs, are providing Israel with the idea that on the name of all the Arabs, that we accept borders modifications between Israelis and Palestinians. So now you see the offer for Israel for peace with the Palestinians is becoming bigger. It is not an offer from President Abu Mazen, it is an offer by all the Arab countries, that all the Arab countries accept these borders. And also, my colleague was telling me, the Islamic countries, this is completely right, because the Arab Peace Initiative was approved by all the Islamic countries, the 57 Islamic countries, so it's already adopted by them. So now when the Arab Peace Initiative speaks, the Arab Peace Initiative Follow-up Committee says to Israel, we accept borders modifications in the Israeli-Palestinian tract, they are doing that on the name of all the Arab countries and all the Islamic countries. This is the significance. So you see, opposite to the pessimism that we have in the region, we have something positive to talk about, which has to do with that now the Israeli-Palestinian tract is not anymore Israeli-Palestinian tract. It is also an Israeli-Palestinian tract with Arab involvement, with an Arab envelope, if you like. Let me use this word. So now, the idea is that how we can use this Arab envelope to the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. This is the new question that we have in strategic thinking, if you like. How we can use this Arab envelope in order to move the Israeli-Palestinian process forward. This can be done, of course, through two lines of work. The first line of work is providing that the Arab envelope will provide Palestinians with support on the issues of Jerusalem, refugees, and borders. The three tough issues of refugees, borders, and Jerusalem. The Arabs can provide the Palestinians with support on these three issues. Therefore, Abu Mazen can go forward in these issues. On the other hand, the other task of the Arab envelope is providing Israel with incentives. What these incentives might look like. For example, there are different, we can think on the incentives of the level of states, track 1 and track 1 and track 2 and track 1.5. Track 1.5 is, in the political science, is the track that includes politicians, ex-politicians, and civil society together, and they call it track 1.5. So you can give incentives in these different levels. The states, for instance, we remember till 2009 it was Qatar who stopped the relations with Israel and Mauritania. Mauritania has an embassy in Tel Aviv, you know that, yeah, till 2009. Till 2009, in different periods, there were 8 Arab countries who has different level of diplomatic relations with Israel. Egypt, Jordan, and Mauritania, full diplomatic relations. Oman, Tunisia, Morocco, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar has different, trade offices or, different less diplomatic offices. Now, the Arabs can come and say to Israel, if the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations will be resumed, these 8 countries might resume their relations with Israel. Yeah, this is one thing that can be presented as incentive. Second example for incentives that the Arabs can provide is the incentive that has to do with security. There is an article in the Arab Peace Initiative which say providing security to all the countries of the region, which means that the Arab countries are ready to provide security to every country, including Israel. Therefore, here you have an incentive about security, that the Arabs can provide security. Third incentive is the revival of the multilaterals. You remember during the Madrid process, 1990s, there was 5 multilateral groups: environment, economic development, security and armed control, refugees, and water. So these multilaterals, if the peace process went forward, these multilaterals can be revived. Even in addition to them, we can follow the Palestinian suggestion made in 1991 when the multilaterals started in Moscow in 1992, January 1992. the Palestinians suggested adding another two multilateral groups, one about Jerusalem and one about human rights. So, which can, bring the issue of Jerusalem and human rights. So as you see, these are just some examples of the kind of incentives. Through the multilaterals, you can develop joint economic development projects, joint environmental projects, solve the issue of water, which is a big issue in the Middle East, and also help the Palestinians in the issue of Jerusalem, refugees, and water and borders. So a lot of things, incentives can be done. In addition to these incentives by the states, there might be incentives by something like, if we can ask Jordanians and Egyptian officials to come and talk in the Knesset, being the two countries who has relations with Israel, ask the King of Saudi Arabia to give a speech through a media addressing the Israeli public about peace. This to be parallel to that, if we can have Mr. Shimon Peres asked to visit the Arab League in Cairo and to present the Israeli response to the Arab Peace Initiative, getting at the same time a green light from Netanyahu, work a little. This is an idea for you to work at in Israel, giving him the green light from Netanyahu to do it. So there are a lot that can be done, but the idea here, and here I will stop because I do not want to take my time and time of my colleagues. The idea here is the regional envelope. This is the new. Based on the change in the region, now we have a possibility to have a regional envelope to the peace process. The regional envelope is there. This regional envelope can provide Palestinians with support and can provide Israel with incentives. And it is a lot, and this gives us an opportunity in a period of time that we have a good offer, which is the Arab Peace Initiative. At the same time, Israel is in the best position that is there. The Iraqi the big army of Iraq is not anymore there. The big army of Syria is not anymore there. They were crashed, both of them. The army of Egypt is already involved in internal chaos, and Hezbollah is already sinking on the muds of Syria. So threats against Israel is becoming less than before, and Hamas in the corner after the defeat of the bringing down of Mr. Morsi in Egypt. So this is the best time for Israel to make peace, when the countries were so we have a real opportunity based on the development of an Arab envelope that can also help a lot the Palestinians move forward. Let us use this envelope and move forward. Thank you very much.
Benedetta, would you like to go second, or shall we finish the Palestinian chapter first?
The Palestinian.
Okay, we'll
Can
give
we make
them.
question because we need to leave
Sorry. I think.
No, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Shall I go?
But my colleague knows what I will say because he was with me here, so he will tell you any answers.
No, I would like to ask you.
So please ask one question.
My name is Janet, and I'm one of the Jewish refugees from Arab countries. I'm glad that you're saying that we have the Arab countries envelope, because thus we will make a solution for the Jews from Arab countries that are refugees, not only in Israel, all over the world. And these Jewish communities, they were thousands of years in the Arab countries. And because of this, what is going here between Israel and the Palestinian, the Arab League made the persecutions, and they just stripped them out of their assets and of their lives sometimes. My classmate, Joyce, at the age of 16, she was slaughtered at home with 2 parents and 2 brothers at the age of 23 and 24. So there are lots of tragedies for this population. And here in Israel, around 55% of the population, they are the Jews from Arab countries and their descendants
Just
here in Israel.
what is your question, please?
And my question is how to solve the problem of these refugees too, now that the Arab countries envelope is in. Because all our lands and houses are there. We are not going, no one wants to return there. no return. The Jews, they don't want to return to the Arab countries. They experience that hell, they will not experience it once again.
But you know, Jews are happy. You know, I think that Jews are very happy to return and reclaim to Europe. And why should we think that once we resolve the Israeli-Arab conflict, will Jews not want, and even should we not strive to have a situation whereby Jews can return?
Well, this is the situation. They don't want to go back. No return. They want no return. Around 1 million refugees from Arab countries.
I'm sorry. You asked for permission to speak.
Yes. So I would like.
Thank you. You got
I would
permission.
like not to speak, to ask. I would like to hear your solution.
Walid is going to answer your question.
For the
But you are completely right that the issue of the Jewish refugees of the Arab countries is not a Palestinian-Israeli issue, it's an Arab-Israeli issue. So you are completely right on raising this issue as an Arab-Israeli issue. Being an Arab-Israeli issue is the reason that why this issue was presented during the multilaterals. I read the minutes of some of the multilateral meetings in the 1990s, and this issue was on the table. Because let us see that the multilateral group about refugees is about refugees, not about Palestinian refugees. It was called multilateral group of refugees, not the Palestinian refugees. So it was inclusive to all the refugees. So when we have multilateral group about refugees, it's inclusive to this. So this is so it will be inclusive of this. The final sentence that I mentioned to that, when you read the Jordanian-Israeli even peace agreement, you will find article number 8 from it saying that Israel and Jordan will cooperate with each other on refugee issue, including in their resettlement. So they said refugees, they did not say the Palestinian refugees. So this is also something to add to you. So you are completely right. It is an Arab-Israeli issue, and it had to be tackled like any other issues.
Maybe you answered it very well.